Wake Up Israel News with Chris Judah. I was going to do this video tomorrow, but I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait, man. Wake Up Israel News with Chris Judah. What's going on? I'm going to start off by saying some stuff. I want you to bear with me for a second. Okay? Forgot to do something. Just bear with me for a second. That's it. One. All right. You guys back. Hold on 1 second, okay? Hold on 1 second. I can't. Oh, 1 second. Ah. All right. Let's do this. How you doing, man? I can't see your chat. I don't even know how to see you guys chat with me, man. Which is kind of weird. Because I'm on my laptop. And hopefully things will go right this go around. The title of this is The Synagogue of Satan Netanyahu has been planning this stuff since 9/11. I was looking at a map last night, and the Most High is genius, man. He's genius. When it comes to how America and the snakes they are, and how they working with Netanyahu, and how they're gonna turn on Saudi Arabia at the end. I was just looking last night, man, 2:30 in the morning. I'm looking at this map. I'm like, all this nonsense going on over there. We know, God bringing these people to their knees anyway. But Netanyahu and the fake Jews, Synagogue of Satan, has been planning this shit since September 11, 2011. I'm gonna show you something. We're gonna go over a few videos and I want you to watch this guy called The Last Vanguard or something. This guy, a young brother, white guy. He's cool. He have a lot of stuff on Israel. And we're gonna listen to his video, but we're gonna just go back to 9/11, okay?
This is how that
An article said planes just flew from World Trade Center. Got to get Piper cover some clown that's flying down the river.
At 8:46 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 from Boston, 92 aboard, traveling at a speed of 470 miles per hour, strikes the North Tower of the World Trade Center complex. Within minutes, officials coordinate the citywide emergency response. Their base of operations is a state-of-the-art command center located on the 23rd floor of 7 World Trade Center. With one tower in flames, the tragedy is only beginning. It is 9:03 when United Airlines Flight 175, with 65 aboard, traveling at the speed of 590 miles per hour, smashes into the south tower of the World Trade Center. This aircraft strikes the core of the south tower. It rips the diagonal shaped gash from the 84th to the 78th floors.
I remember this like it was yesterday.
Forensic Hunt, 59 p.m. Dust cloud billows outward from the lung. Staggering. At 10:28, the television mast atop
They use us as guinea pigs and kill us. My black Hebrews, we already know how it is. So
once the collapse
we used to it.
Stop. Just gonna move all the way down to the rest.
Everybody's in amazement. Look at that.
Power is down. Phone lines jammed with more than 230 million people. Hundreds of firefighters trapped in towers. Hundreds more race to the scene. Falling debris from the collapse of the north and south of the towers ignites fires in the neighboring buildings of the World Trade Center. World Trade 4, 5, and 6 are ablaze. World Trade 7, the building housing the city's command center, burned
Netanyahu, the vicious demon he is, had the nerve. This, and Pastor Stephen Darby talked about this. This fool had the nerve to say that God told those fake Jews that all that land over there belonged to them. That's why they're attacking the Palestinians. That's why they're attacking Syria. Look at the buildings now.
At 10:56, police officials say they believe there are victims.
Working with search and rescue teams, there was a lot of areas to be searched underneath the debris points that had to be searched for possible life.
September 11th.
Look at it. Look at it, family. All that smoke. Good old History Channel. But here's the deal. Netanyahu says that Wait a minute. Bear with me. Bear with me now. Please. No Al Jarreau. Al Jarreau. Moonlight. Wait a minute. We getting down to the bread and butter of what I'm looking for. And I think it was on Al Jarreau. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Where this fool at? Where's Netanyahu at? So I knew it was Al Jarreau. If I can't find it, I'm not gonna worry about it. I know this fool said something the other day that is so true, and that's why they're doing what they're doing. Hold on one second. I don't need it, but I just told you what did he say. And Stephen Darby talks about why they fighting people, because they want all of that land. I don't see it. I done lost it. Hold on one second. Y'all bear with me. What the hell? Pay that no mind. I got the slick fingers over here. Forget about this snake. Let's move on to the map. Right?
Train could be grinding to a halt. I simply disagree.
We're gonna look at this whole thing.
I just think that they're screwing something up again, or rather, it just didn't work out the way
Matter
they
of
wanted.
fact, let me
This is
see.
what they're presenting. Now, Bloomberg also agrees, per its latest report, quote, President Donald Trump is wary of drawing the U.S. into a war.
It's about 20 minutes,
which,
but
again, it completely contradicts.
I'm gonna cut this off right here. All right. Go back over here. Listen to this brother right here. It's about 22 minutes before I get to the map. But let's listen to what he got to say at the very beginning about Israel and the snakes they are. Matter of fact, hold on. I'll do it myself. I'm gonna do a quick preview, all right? Of what I'm talking about. And I'll let him talk, but I'll do a quick preview of what I saw last night, Some of you probably already know this, but when you're doing something and you want to make somebody weak, this is what you do. This is what you do. This is what Esau do. That's what he does. Look at this. Egypt, the land of Israel. Well, Moses. Well, Moses was down here too, but he was Benjamite. But all this right here was Africa. Was part of Israel was part of Africa. Okay, that's why those black people had to run down and hide from these Edomites, but they blend in, right? Check this out. We know Turkey, we know Georgia. All this is the Caucasus Mountains. All these people that was walking on all fours came from. But we're going to look at the map right here, starting with Yemen. Okay. I still need a bigger map to show you, but don't worry about it. We'll get it done. Okay, 9/11, right? Terrorists hit the Twin Towers. We already know that was government plan because if you don't know that by now that there was a government plan by these devils in America and in Israel, then just go with your daily routine and go watch reruns of the Partridge Family or something on Three's Company or whatever you watch on TV Land. I mean, I watch that stuff too, but if you don't know by now, all that stuff was planned by the devil himself. But the Most High is above all. So he orchestrated everything to go down, all right? 9/11, September 11, 2001. New York get hit. 2 planes. Manhattan Twin Towers. I was working with my cousin Leon, and we was laying hardwood floors of tile. I remember looking at the second plane going to the building when we was working that day. Everybody thought the world come to an end because America got touched. So we know it was a money thing with Dick Cheney and everybody else, the Bushes, all these, even the Democrats was in on it too. All them snakes. So they said, well, those were terrorists that came from Iraq, right? So I need another map to show the Middle East, but we're going to look at his map. So you got Saudi Arabia, who don't like Iran, right? You got Yemen, who just getting their butt just beat up all the time. Oman right here, the president of the minister of Oman says they cool with everybody. They have no problem with it. Then you got Dubai right here. You got Iran here, and behind Iran is Afghanistan and Pakistan. Beside Pakistan, that's India. India don't like Pakistan. Pakistan don't like India, right? Pakistan don't like Iran either. Okay. We already know what's going on in Syria. We already know how Israel feel about Syria. We already know how these Edomite devils feel about Palestinians, right? You have Jordan right here. And Netanyahu has said, and I've seen this somewhere, that God told him, like he told Abraham, the Most High did tell Abraham that his seed will have abundance of land. All this is the Middle East of what Abraham was given. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob was given, and their seeds was given all this land, minus maybe even the Caucasus Mountains too. We don't know. But this right here, 9/11 happened. United States military came and got pimped by Netanyahu to destroy Iraq, right? Iran is in the middle of Iraq and Afghanistan. Nobody has beef with Iraq or Afghanistan now because there's no beef to be with because they are weak. America has defeated and destroyed Iraq. They tried to destroy Afghanistan. My friend said she went to Iraq one time. When she got to the airport, she saw all black people at the airport. It blew her mind. With kinky hair, really black folks in Iraq, the main citizens that's what King David them come from, and Solomon. All that gold that King David had, it was in these regions right here. That's why so many black people in Iraq and Iran. Israel said all of this is his. Right? Netanyahu is friends with Saudi Arabia. And why? It's a big country. They have a military. Plus, they have a lot of oil. All of them have oil, but they have a lot of oil. Saudi Arabia don't like Iran. Dubai is Americanized because it's allowing Americans to, to come and set their USS Lincoln shit in this sea right here. Oman said, look, he got no problem with nobody. Yemen getting their butts whooped. Iraq is weak. Pakistan don't like Iran. Iran don't like Pakistan. Pakistan don't like India. But nobody over here is talking about Iraq or Afghanistan because America had went in there and destroyed them until they can't destroy them more. Reason being, once you get through, matter of fact, I was working with a guy from Syria last summer at a Walmart. We was putting together a kiosk in the Walmart in Cummins, Georgia. The brother said, Chris, 2 million Palestinians. I'm sorry. He wasn't from Syria. He was from Syria. I think Syria. He said, he's from Syria. He said, Chris, over 1 million people have died in Syria, but nobody's talking about it. They might say thousands. He said over, and that was back this past summer. He said 1 million people have died from the war Israel have afflicted on Syria. It's the numbers and the stuff is beastly. It's below the demonic. All right. Once you get rid of Syria, in Iraq, that's why they stayed in Iraq all those years, so they can clear this lane out. You get rid of Syria, we can make Iraq weak, and Iraq cannot team up with Iran. If you get rid of Afghanistan, which is over here somewhere, make them weak. This can make them weak. Then Afghanistan can't team up with Iran. Okay. Pakistan, I believe, is neutral, but they can't stand Iran. But since Pakistan don't like Iran, they stand neutral with America and these devils, Israelis and these devil Americans, Edomites. They want to put a foot up Iran butt, but they won't. India don't like Pakistan. As long as you leave India alone, they fine. But Pakistan, leave us alone. That's all they ask. When they clear Iraq out and make this country weak, it made Afghanistan weak, they can go in for the kill for Iran. Yemen just getting their butts whooped. Saudi Arabia, the joke is on them. This is the same ones who have slaves over there right now. These Israelites, butt wipes. They have slaves over here. Period. All right. Once these devils, Edomites, get through using Saudi Arabia, they're going to try to take them out too and take their oil. They are used in Saudi Arabia and Dubai. All these Negroes like going to Dubai, don't want to go to Africa. And if you're a Negro, you've been over there, it's fine. but stay your ass over here. It's about to get down and dirty. I'm not about to go down party. This is, like I said, black people belong, the Hebrews belong in this region to begin with. Let the Most High orchestrate all this stuff. It's about to go. I looked at this map last night, and I was looking at Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Oman, Dubai, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Iraq, Syria, Palestine, Israel, Jordan. Netanyahu said all of this land is his. He and includes Saudi Arabia. I don't know why Saudi Arabia, dumbass Israelites, don't see that shit. All of that land, God says theirs. No, not that's what he said, but it belongs to the Hebrews. But we're gonna get that shit back. Let's go to the video. From the beginning.
Most relevant independent news as we see it from the last 24 hours. May 17th, 2019. Thank you for joining me today. We've got some very important stuff to go over today. More so than I would say in the last couple of shows. Definitely important topics, but some real bombshell information that's coming out today. Of course, as you might have expected, bolstering what we've been saying the entire time. Not because we're psychic, not because we knew what was going to happen, but because we pay attention. We listen. We digest their information. We compare their actions versus their narrative, and we come to our own conclusions. So recently, I went over the USS Liberty and how it relates to what we are seeing play out today, and it really does. Well, on today's show, I'll be going deep into the case known as the Dancing Israelis and how it has clear ties to the way in which Israel is pulling the strings in this Iran agenda while trying to paint itself as just, a concerned bystander. And just like the Dancing Israelis, with the willing obfuscation of the US government and the mainstream media, and even as the US is doubling down on what already appears to be yet another bungled foreign policy agenda, and with many US officials also joining the call for aggression against Iran, we're now finding out what we were expecting all along. And that is that the so-called evidence is really nothing of the kind, but instead very normal things being framed as threats by groups with an eye on toppling Iran, and I'm sure you can guess who those groups may be. And they likely never expected anyone to actually see this, but we're going to get into it today. But to begin the show, another very concerning move against not only press freedom and constitutional rights, but against anyone who dares to expose the crimes of a corrupt government, or rather the crimes of a few very specific corrupt governments. For the first article of the day coming from RT, and this is in regard to France and press freedom, entitled Macron Pursuing Journalists Who Exposed French Complicity in Possible Saudi War Crimes in Yemen. And this is really chilling for multiple reasons. We clearly have been seeing this happen in the United States, as we continue to point out. People like all the cases that we've gone over, the Chelsea Manning, the Julian Assange, the Reality Winners, all these people that are exposing crimes that we all acknowledge are crimes, including the people that were put, the governments, and yet they continue to go after the people who exposed them, and yet not a single person has even been charged for the crimes we all acknowledge are crimes. That really has to show us what's going on, and now we're seeing the same thing in France, and this is in regard to Yemen. The covering up of the complicity of what we see as the world's largest humanitarian crisis. And all of these people are not only allowing it to continue, but profiting from it. Again, truly sinister. And now also going after the journalists who release the information that shows that they're breaking the law, which they're supposed to be protected as whistleblowers. But no, that's not the case these days. Now, 3 journalists have been summoned for questioning by French police for their role in an explosive report detailing how the Macron government knowingly sold arms to Saudi Arabia and the UAE for use in Yemen, which in and of itself is not necessarily a crime. It could be considered so in different perspectives, understanding what's happening there and the lies around it. But it's because of how this all played out and Macron's lies around this story that are now being revealed. Now, Disclose co-founders, Disclose is the name of the group, the co-founders, Geoffrey Livolsi and Matthias Destal, as well as Benoit Colombat of Radio France, have been summoned by police for questioning about the revelations contained within the April 15 report published by Disclose, who partnered with Radio France. Now, the report contained a leaked classified French intelligence report detailing the use of French weapons in Yemen during a Defense Council meeting on October 3rd, 2018. Now, again, you can't ignore the parallels here to exactly what we're seeing with people like Julian Assange and Chelsea Manning, that they leaked crimes and are then the ones actually being charged with something, not the people of the crimes that they have revealed. And the image you're seeing here is the very sad image from yesterday we covered, which shows you what's actually happening in Yemen, using these French weapons and U.S. weapons. Now, the report proves that Macron's government deliberately lied about having no knowledge that French arms, including French-supplied Caesar howitzer artillery, tanks, and laser-guided missile systems, would be used, quote, offensively in Yemen. I'm sure this is the ridiculous nature of the idea of the Department of Defense. All this stuff is meant to be offensive, to attack war. But they just try to pretend otherwise. Oh, we're just trying to defend ourselves with their howitzer tanks and laser-guided missiles against the most impoverished nation in the world. Yeah, we're just defending ourselves. And this is clearly in violation of the 2014 Arms Trade Treaty, the ATT, which entered into force on December 24, 2014. So again, in this case, this is very clearly a violation of the treaty, which would be a crime, as well as the fact that he just outright lied about what this is being used for. Now, the journalists argue that the revelations are, quote, are of major public interest, clearly it is, that bring to the attention of the citizens and their representatives what the government wanted to conceal. That's, again, this is exactly what whistleblowers are supposed to be protected for, because people in power don't want their secrets being revealed. So they're meant to be protected because they're taking a risk and revealing the crimes of these powerful governments. What we see today, they're no longer protected. As much as they try to pretend that's still the case. They just say national security and things that we can't show you, and that's bad stuff, and we have to arrest this. There's nothing. It's all buzzwords and ridiculous claims that we don't ever get to see while they attack the people exposing their crimes. And it went on to add that Macron's decision to pursue them constitutes infringement on freedom of press and speech in general, which obviously we can see. Now, the journalists are due to be questioned by the General Directorate for Internal Security, the DGSI, France's domestic intelligence agency, in a hearing scheduled for mid-May. So this is going to be coming soon. Now, the move has been condemned in a statement signed by 36 French press outlets, including Le Monde and the French press agency, the major one. So clearly, we can all acknowledge what this is. And yet another example, especially if nothing happens, kind of the way we're seeing it with Assange, that these powerful groups can do whatever they want, even in the face of everybody being against what they're doing. Simply don't care. And I just covered yesterday what these French and U.S. munitions are doing in Yemen. Exactly why the French and U.S. governments do not want us talking about this. Why they are willing to censor, suppress, and even arrest journalists who are just doing their jobs, covering the truth on the ground. And sadly, here's an update from the story we covered yesterday, before I get into everything else today, from Hussein on the ground. He says this was the target. It was his friend, sadly. Abdullah Sabri, president of the Yemeni Media Union, so you can understand why he would be the target, who was injured in this strike. However, even more sad, his sons, one named Hassan, 25-year-old, died. Loai, I believe, 17 years old, injured. Malik, 20 years old, and Hashim, 5 years old, and their mother, right now in critical condition, and Abdullah's mom is also injured. This is very sad stuff. This is happening on a near daily basis. And you ask yourself why they don't want us talking about this. And of course, we now have the list of the names and ages of all casualties, many of them children. Many of them children. Sad stuff. Now remember, this is ongoing. Daily occurrence of not just bombings, but civilian deaths. Intentional targeting of houses and fishing vessels and food and water infrastructure, while the U.S. pretends that they're fighting for freedom. While they pretend to cover for these crimes, they pretend to work with the Saudis when they're the ones leading the charge. And remember this as they continue to try and convince you that Iran is the big bad villain. Yet, of course, cannot point to even one such example as we can see here in Yemen. And even as their agenda again falls apart right in front of us, and the so-called evidence against Iran is exposed, and we have evidence of far worse U.S. crimes than even their worst allegations against Iran, they still choose to double down. For the next article, coming from Anti-War, entitled Potentially Imminent Threat from Iran Grips Washington. Grips Washington, all the officials that choose to go along with this narrative as it falls apart in front of us. Now, I think we can all see that the United States is clearly driving towards war with Iran based on some non-specific random threat that Israeli handed to John Bolton, which again is being dismantled right in front of us today. But the reality is, you can see that regardless of what's pushing it, the U.S. and Israel are aggressively trying to manufacture war with Iran. For those that are taken aback by such a statement, oh, that's not true. That can't be true. Well, they've openly said this on countless occasions, specifically Israel, as I just showed one of them yesterday. But I guess we're supposed to ignore what they actually say. Now, this is also a major topic of discussion among U.S. officials and policymakers and powerful people in Washington. And there's a clear desire for real information and less idle speculation, showing you that I'm not, or the independent media are just not the only ones pointing out how hollow this entire thing is. Actual people in Washington and even people in Congress are saying this is to use their term, a nothing burger. It's just a bunch of idle speculation, which I think isn't funny, as even people in Congress are saying this today, yet we, as yesterday, were called fake news by all the people that just don't want to believe the reality. Now, some lawmakers rightly compared what's happening right now to the march to war before 2003 U.S. invasion of Iraq. Again, based on the intelligence community information that their secret intel that we just have to believe that turned out to be complete fabrications involving John Bolton in integral role in this entire thing. And he's doing it again today, and we just supposed to trust him. But that's what marched us to Iraq, and now we're seeing it all over again. But see, this time people like myself and independent media out there are not allowing it to happen, because people like you are strong enough to stand up and say something about it. Now, they want a lot more specifics about what the U.S. is doing, as they should, before we actually go to war. But you understand as well, many people in Congress are trying to point out the obvious point that, hey, Congress is supposed to declare war, but Trump doesn't seem to think that matters anymore. He thinks he's got this unilateral capacity, all because of the authorization for use of military force, which was created after 9/11. You see how it all fits together. He believes he can just march off to war because he's now called Iran a terrorist group, because they're military terrorists. Now, under this flimsy authorization of use of military force, they can go invade a country because there's terrorists there. That's the general gist of it. And Congress is supposed to be the ones to declare war, but now they're clearly saying we need more information and why it's all happening. And I've pushed the State Department to respond with specifics in the next week, which we know how often the State Department chops to when they're told to do something. However, a specific handful of congressional leaders were actually given some information Thursday in a classified briefing. Thank you for the super chat. Though they all came out refusing to talk about it, which is not very shocking as it's a classified briefing. However, Representative Mac Thornberry is apparently unconcerned about how often the U.S. wars have been started based on this exact type of unconfirmed intelligence, and he's said that he's already sold on the idea after just that briefing. After showing him some pictures, he's sold. He trusts what they have to say, saying that he is convinced by the information he was shown, and that there is, quote, cause for greater concern that Americans might be targeted by Iran. But just at this point, America, oh no, and a U.S. official said he's convinced by what he saw that we will never get to see, or they don't expect us to get to see. That's supposed to be enough. Well, guess what? We're now getting some insight on this supposed convincing evidence. And let's take a look and see if we are as convinced as Mr. Thornberry here. And I argue he likely did not expect us to be able to see what he was so convinced by, at least not so soon. And this coming from Zero Hedge. And it's a pretty powerful article and information here. Trump de-escalating? I don't think so. Satellite intel based on Tehran misreading U.S. intentions. Clearly it quotes, because this is the claim. It's just some coincidence. It all just, what a funny coincidence. It all worked out the wrong way. No, that's not what we're looking at. This is orchestrated. This is driven. As always, we can point out, tying directly back to the usual suspects of providing fake information, as they usually do about Iran. As Netanyahu has gotten up and done numerous times on a stage, making up evidence about Iran that the world then laughs at and says, yeah, that's easily debunkable. Oh, that thing he just said, that's from 2015. He's making it all up. It's happened numerous times. So this is not some happy or some odd coincidence. But we are seeing essentially a de-escalation here, but I don't think it's by choice. Mr. Trump was asked by a reporter whether the U.S. was going to war with Iran. He simply replied, "I hope not." Makes you feel better. Now, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that Trump is fast reining in his two Iran hawk horsemen of the apocalypse, as the article put it, Bolton and Pompeo. It says, quote, "There are sharply differing views within the Trump administration over the meaning of intelligence showing Iran and its proxies making military preparations." And we pointed out the proxy aspect, how it just means whatever they want it to mean. And they continue saying, "People familiar with the matter said," according to the report. Well, that's nice. Always just, people who said this, and we can't tell you who they are. And you can see the article here says, "Intelligence suggests U.S.-Iran misread each other, stoking tensions." Right. I'm sure it was just a quirky misunderstanding, because that lines up with everything we've seen before. And do we get any real sources ever again from mainstream media? People familiar with the matter said. I continually point out, I have not seen a report coming from mainstream media that wasn't intelligence community said, anonymous official report, people familiar said. It's comical. So Trump claims he doesn't want a war, which I think is on its face ridiculous when you can see him allowing Yemen to continue, increasing war in all kinds of other places, including Venezuela. And I mean, it's ridiculous. But we're supposed to just look at this Iran picture when taking what he has to say. This is how most Americans sadly operate today. We get tunnel vision with whatever the big story is. We don't pay attention to all the surrounding information. But now, with the Senate demanding that it be given a comprehensive briefing on just what the increased Iran threat constitutes, and the intelligence consensus behind it, or lack thereof, as the author put it, quote, "It looks like the war train could be grinding to a halt." I simply disagree. I just think that they're screwing something up again, or rather, it just didn't work out the way they wanted, and so this is what they're presenting. Now, Bloomberg also agrees, per its latest report, quote, "President Donald Trump is wary of drawing the U.S. into a war with Iran," which, again, it completely contradicts everything he said, done, and been a part of, leading all the way up to this one. All of a sudden, though, it goes on to say, "In part out of concern that armed conflict with the Islamic Republic would imperil his chances at winning a second term," according to people familiar with the matter. I love it. This is Bloomberg, by the way. It's another article. It's not even the same one. Anonymous sources say, I'm not joking, every single mainstream article you will begin to recognize is just regurgitation of people that we can't hear from. We don't like good to see. But of course, we understand that it's about his winning his second term. Exactly like I showed you yesterday that he said about Obama in 2011-12. He said, watch out for Obama's going to start a war with Iran to win re-election. He's going to bomb Iran and Libya to win re-election. It's clearly that's something Trump recognizes as a viable possibility. And now Bloomberg's saying the same thing. The only reason we don't want a war is because it might hurt his second term. But of course, if it wasn't 2020 next year, Iran war, let's get it going. It's ridiculous that that's what matters. Now remember that this all started with Bolton's May 5th announcement of a major Iranian threat. Remember, we talked about this when it happened. He stood up on May 5th and announced that there was an Iranian threat. Credible evidence suggests that was simply Mossad intel handed to Bolton, which he doesn't even care, I would argue. If it even looked legitimate, Bolton wants the same thing, so they used it. Now, the smoking gun that started it all apparently hinges completely on satellite photos that no one gets to see, not even the mainstream media. Because you can look at every single article talking about this, including the New York Times, and there's no images, there's no links. So we're now being told that they have satellite images that are all that, but then we're being told that they're not what they seem. So they may not even exist at all. Think about that. Not even the mainstream media gets to see them. Now, allegedly, they show Iranian paramilitary forces moving missiles on boats in the Persian Gulf. In the Persian Gulf, within their own territorial waters, it would seem. So the New York Times cited 3 defense officials who confirmed that, quote, "The intelligence that caused the White House to escalate its warnings about a threat from Iran came from photographs of missiles on small boats in the Persian Gulf that were put on board by Iranian military forces," end quote. So according to U.S. intelligence officials cited by the Wall Street Journal, no names, just broad U.S. officials, just like I said. That's a third article, mind you, in this one story. It's doing the same thing. You'll see it yourself if you start looking for it. According to U.S. intelligence officials cited by the Wall Street Journal, the missile movement satellite photographs may have just been picking up on Iranian defensive measures that came in reaction specifically to Tehran's belief that a U.S. military attack was on the horizon. So first of all, we can't even confirm that these images exist. Second of all, we cannot confirm that these moves even did happen. But third, even if they did, they're in their own territory. And we're talking about the possible defensive moves that were completely because of all of the aggression stemming from Israel and the United States. You can't make this stuff up. This is the most average, normal response to the U.S.'s bellicose rhetoric that you could possibly imagine, doing it in their own territory. And they make this out to be a massive escalation and literally spin the world up into a complete fervor for war. This is unbelievable. And I've never, this again, just like Venezuela, they are brazen with their lies today. It's almost like they don't even care if we see them, and maybe it's because they want to get caught. I honestly don't know. It seems pretty incompetent to me. Now, the Wall Street Journal reads, quote, intelligence collected by the U.S. government shows Iran's leaders believe the U.S. planned to attack them, prompting preparations by Tehran for possible counterstrikes, according to one interpretation of the information. So even their own information that they're telling you is, cause for war with Iran, they only show you part of it, you see, because the other part clearly shows you that what they're doing was in reaction to the U.S., not, planning to attack the United States as Israel and Bolton tried to make it out to be. They literally said credible threats on Americans, which is absolutely nothing, not even close to what we're seeing here. That's what they do. This is what Caitlin Johnstone just pointed out Bolton is famous for. Using the information and misrepresenting it to people around him to accomplish what he wants, what Netanyahu clearly wants, which is otherwise called lying, deceiving. But that's what these people do. And there will no doubt be many who are completely taken by the evidence-free accusations flying at Iran from the U.S. and Israeli governments, and who choose to just blindly trust the word of these officials. However, the lack of reaction by Iran, even when being openly provoked, mind you, and the utter lack of actual evidence to support U.S. claims, as well as the long history of the U.S. and Israel unjustly targeting Iran by using lies, shows us even more than we already can see who the true aggressors are here. And again, it's something that we need to understand. Here is the area for those that may not be familiar, and I've shown this before. This is the Strait of Hormuz. This is what you're looking at here. Now, the USS McFall and USS Gonzales traveled through the Strait of Hormuz. Remember, this is something Iran has been threatening. If you do this, they're going to take action. But the U.S. took 2 ships through the strait and were not challenged by Iranian Revolutionary Guard forces. So this is the spot you can see. Understand, this is not technically all the way through the strait into the I guess the bay over here, the Gulf, but on the other side of it, in the Gulf Boulevard.
Let me know you can see this
right
now. I was gone for a second because
Clearly,
you know how I go with
passing the
YouTube.
strait would be a much more provocative move. But understand that Iran didn't do anything, and right now the U.S. is just kind of milling around right there. For those that may not be familiar, and I've shown this before. This is the Strait of Hormuz. This is what you're looking at here.
I'm gonna show you
the USS McFall and
before he even gets started. Yemen, Oman, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Syria, Palestine, Israel, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India. Wait. So let's go right here to Pakistan. Look at the title for a minute. Hold on one second. All right, the title, Pakistan blames Iran-based separatists for a deadly Balochistan attack. Early this week, gunmen ambushed a passenger bus in Pakistan, Restif, Balochistan province, killing 14 people. It's not the first time Pakistan has blamed Iran-based militants for launching attacks on its soil. Look at how they use the word. It's not the first time Pakistan has blamed Iran-based militants for launching attacks on its soil. Pakistan Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi told reporters on Saturday that terrorist outfits that carried out a deadly attack against armed forces on Thursday had crossed the border from neighboring Iran. The gunman reportedly entered the bus, demanded to see everyone's IDs, and then commenced their attack on Pacific passengers. Those killed included 10 serving the Navy, 3 working with the Air Force, and 1 with the Coast Guard. The killings took place when they were traveling in buses on the Makran coastal highway between the southern city of Karachi and Gwadar in the southwest, a key port in China, multi-billion-dollar China-Pakistan economic corridor. I'm reading. There's a China consulate attack, while Pakistan Balak separatists are against Beijing. We have shared the actionable evidence with Iran due to authentication and have identified the location of camps. Qureshi added that the attackers' training and logistic camps were based inside Iranian areas bordering Pakistan. Pakistan Foreign Ministry urged Tehran to act against the attackers from a newly found Raja Sangha separatist, whoever that shit is. Anyway, let's go to the next article. You get the point. Pakistan and Iran is beefing, right? Big time. Now here we go. India blames Pakistan for attack in Kashmir, promising a response. New York Times. Hold on 1 second. You there? India accused Pakistan on Friday of orchestrating a suicide bombing that killed dozens of soldiers in Kashmir, the worst attack there in decades. And hold on 1 second. Here we go, family. Hold on 1 second. Put it back. This is going to be a struggle because I got too many windows up, but I'm trying to make a point here. Are you guys there? I think you guys there. Hold on. I think we back. All right, let's go. Let's go read it. All right. Pakistan has denied involvement in the attack in which at least 40 Indian soldiers was killed Thursday when a driver slammed an explosive-packed vehicle into the parliamentary convoy. But Friday afternoon, India had recalled its ambassador to Pakistan for consultation in New Delhi, with national elections in India set to take place by May, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi faces a close contest. Analysts say he risks looking weak if he does not respond. Mr. Modi was elected in 2014 on promises to crack down on Kashmir's militants and to adopt a tougher line of Pakistan, a tougher line on Pakistan. The nuclear warm rivals have gone to war 3 times since independence in 1947, with 2 of the wars over Kashmir. Sorry about the video, but I hate my computer is breaking up. I hate it's breaking up, man. Search for survivors in the rubble in Yemen. All right, go back to the damn. Let's go back, family, so you can see this.
Through.
Wait a minute. They whooping our ass right now. YouTube trying to whoop my butt. I say that they trying to, but they
Even several B-52 bombers out of Qatar. Now this is the spot you can see. Understand, this is not technically all the way through the strait into the I guess the bay over here, the Gulf, but on the other side of it, in the Gulf of Oman, where you can see right there. Clearly, I think passing into the strait would be a much more provocative move. But understand that Iran didn't do anything, and right now the U.S. is just kind of milling around right there at their doorstep. Even several B-52 bombers out of Qatar. Now this is the spot you can see. Understand.
like I was saying, wait. Like I was saying, Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan. Iraq is too weak right now to help Iran. Afghanistan is too weak probably to help Iran. So Iran is by himself because it's against Pakistan. Pakistan is having beef with India. The Oman, he said, wait a minute. I want to get one thing. I don't want this to keep freezing up, but the prime minister already said that they have no beef with nobody. This is Dubai right here. I'm gonna do this video tomorrow, man. This is Dubai right here. This is what they got. This is why they're taking a USS Lincoln, craft, and it's in Iran backyard. Very, very disrespectful. India is not going to do nothing to America's ships. They got too many Indians over here in America. I'm in the IT field. They all in IT and in the medical field. They are over here. They have no problem with America because they want to be white any damn way. Pakistan is they kind of in a they have no beef with Saudi Arabia or Israel at the moment because Iran is not out the way. Once they get Iran out the way, bye-bye Pakistan. Once they get Pakistan out the way, bye-bye Saudi Arabia. And like I say, Yemen getting their butt
I think you know the answer to that. And this is why this is so utterly preposterous that they claimed Iran as the aggressor, as well as the absurd, or rather the very revealing show of, or rather lack of action, right? I'd be familiar, and I've shown this before. This is the Strait of Hormuz. This is what you're looking at here. Now, the USS McFall and USS Gonzales traveled through the Strait of Hormuz. Remember, this is something Iran has been threatening. If you do this, they're going to take action. But the U.S. took 2 ships through the strait and were not challenged by Iranian Revolutionary Guard forces. Real terrorist actions, aren't they? Because the U.S. calls them a terrorist group. Really seems like what a terrorist would do. They, of course, these ships joined the USS Abraham Lincoln, which is stationed on the Gulf of Oman, which is where you can see that pin, as well as a strike force that includes even several B-52 bombers out of Qatar. So this is the spot you can see. Understand, this is not technically all the way through the strait into the I guess the bay over here, the Gulf.
Hey family, I'm gonna do this video tomorrow. I'm not gonna cut it off right now, but if it cut off again, I'm gonna end the video. I'll do it tomorrow anyway. I'm gonna do a second video, okay, on this.
But on the other side of it, in the Gulf of Oman, where you can see right there. Clearly, I think passing into the strait would be a much more provocative move. But understand that Iran didn't do anything. And right now, the U.S. is just kind of milling around right there at their doorstep. Now, ask yourself for a moment. Ask yourself, what do you think the U.S. would do if Iran all of a sudden was like, you know what? I'm just going to cruise right up here and just park myself right in this little spot right here. You know, and all of a sudden we have Iran ships just hanging out. What do you think the U.S. would do? I think you know the answer to that. And this is why this is so utterly preposterous that they claimed Iran as the aggressor, as well as the absurd, or rather the very revealing show of, or rather lack of action, right? That we can literally see the United States pull up that close to Iran, and Iran doesn't do anything about it. That just shows you who's really being the aggressor. You have to understand what this truly is. And understand, first of all, the U.S. being right here in the Gulf of Oman is well within territorial waters. It's utter hypocrisy, as it all too often is.
That's just like somebody from China coming over to Miami and setting shop on Miami coastline or Long Beach somewhere, California, or even there Murder Beach.
Now, as the author put it, so there it is, formula for de-escalation. However, the chances of some accident happening which leads to clashes remains high and unpredictable, at which point the intelligence debate Congress is demanding could turn into a moot afterthought, as it is the pattern with so many U.S. wars. Right, clearly, because Trump wants de-escalation, that's why he's got ships.
All right, that's enough. I'm gonna do the video tomorrow. I kept cutting off like I don't know what tonight. Probably had too much windows open. I'll break it down tomorrow again. I might erase this video and just do it all over. And just instead of putting all these things up here, I just tell you what I've been reading and how it's going to go down when the Most High orchestrate all this land and get rid of the people for the Hebrew Israelites to come back home. That's all. This has been Wake Up Israel News with Chris Judah. I apologize. I'll do this video again, and we'll have a good time doing it. All right? All right. Have a good night. Shalom.